Hello, everybody. My name's Rowan, and here's my Russian cultural project on Russian folklore. For the three specific beings that I'm going to discuss in this project, I'm going to talk about Baba Yaga, a Domovoy and a Kikamura, and what they are and how they're sort of related. And I'm also going to talk about a Voldenoy, which is essentially a missing link kind of creature. So the first character that we're going to talk about for our Russian folklore is Baba Yaga. Here's a picture of her on the right, and then on the left is our caption. It says, Eta Baba Yaga, Oha Vedma Vabraisikon folklore. And that basically means this is Baba Yaga, and that she's a witch popular in Russian folklore. So Baba Yaga is a witch in Russian folklore that's kind of like Hansel and Gretel in a matter where she eats children. She lives in a hut that is generally portrayed as standing on chicken legs. And this picture in the middle top right box are a couple depictions of what her house could look like. She was depicted mostly as looking like an old ugly hag, but there are some images. I found a few, but I couldn't fit them on the slide, of her being depicted as a young, beautiful witch to some, and an ugly hag once they knew her true intentions. And then this picture up here in the left corner is actually of Yubaba from Studio Ghibli's Spirited Away. It said that she was portrayed to look like Yubaba, hence the name, or look like Baba Yaga, hence the name Yubaba. And I think it's also kind of funny that Yubaba is named so similar to Baba Yaga and is also known to have a bird that looks like Yubaba, but the bird obviously has bird legs. So the next creature we're going to talk about is the Domovoy. He's pictured on the right here with a little coal in his tweezers, or whatever you want to call those, pronged, whatever. The caption reads, Domovay Jvet Pod Pichu. I can't say that last word right, my bad. But it means the Domovoys live under the stove. And that's where this little guy is said to live, and that's why he's holding the coals and kind of dusty and dirty from the ash. Okay, so like I said on the last slide, they were said to live under the stove. They were the kind house spirit that kind of took care of the family and made sure that everything was okay. He was considered to be the protector of the house. There are stories that said that the Domovoy would choke the head of the house if there was anything bad happening in while they were sleeping. They attributed that to carbon monoxide poisoning. But since there wasn't a stove that we know today, they assumed that it was because of a blocked chimney that they lit the fire in to warm the house or stuff like that. It's very similar to a brownie from Anglo-Saxon folklore of a small gnome-like creature that lived in the house and kept up with chores that nobody really liked to do, but always ended up getting done somehow. He also was not a fan of fighting and swearing, especially at the dinner table. It said that if you did that too often, that he would become mischievous and take things that not really would cause an issue, but just be very, very not great to not have. So, he would take an extra spoon from your silverware so somebody was without a spoon. It was just very not convenient to have these things missing that he would take. It's also said that whenever you would swear at the table, that the stove would light. And since it's a wood burning stove, you have to put actual effort into lighting the stove. It's also said that in order to bring your domovoi from your old house to, if you were to move, the eldest of your family had to invite him into the new home, because since he's bound to your family, he would have to stay with your family. But in many Slavic and even just pagan religions, these spiritual entities that are non-malicious cannot enter your home without your permission. So that makes it hard for the domovoi, if you were to not invite him, to continue and come live with you and make sure that you guys were safe. So the next spirit we're going to talk about is the Kikimora, which is the kind of the polar opposite, or the yang to the yin of the domovoi. As you can see by the picture, she's more portrayed as kind of like an outdoorsy kind of spirit, but she is indeed a house spirit. She was kind of the troublemaker that didn't really want anything to do with there being peace and kind of calmness in the home. Generally, she's portrayed as bringing things in that she shouldn't, like bugs and sickness and things of that manner. So the caption on here says Kikamora Plohi, which basically means Kikamora is the bad one. So on this slide, we have two more depictions of what the Kikamora was to look like. As you can see, they're a little bit different than the one on the last slide. The last slide was done as a rendition of what she could have looked like, along with the one that's in the middle of this slide. The one on the far right is one of the more original depictions I found in my research of what she could look like. But she was more of the evil trickster of the house spirit realm of the folklore. Like I said on the last slide, she's the opposite of the domovoi. She's usually depicted as an older looking person, like sunken eyes, typical older dress. A lot of the depiction that I found also portrays her with like either hooves or chicken feet. So that's another important sign that she was definitely a spirit and not, something masking to be something else, as if she had animal feet. She was said to live behind the stove or in the cellar. So she was either closely related, from what I am understanding, she was closely related with the domovoi. I found one source that even said that they were married and that it was a yin-yang situation. It is also said that I found the thing here about sleep paralysis with the picture on the far right, and I mean, that is terrifying. If I saw that standing in the corner of my bedroom, I probably wouldn't move either. But they say that she is one of the original causers of sleep paralysis in the traditional Slavic and Russian culture. So the next creature we're going to talk about is the Vodyanoi, which is portrayed kind of different in different regions of Russia. So the one here is from more around the Russian part of Ukraine, the ethnic Russian part of Ukraine and Crimea around the Black Sea, giving him a more like tropical kind of green look. In northern Russia, they were said to look different than southern Russia. And then even in between European and Asian Russia, there was differences in what they were portrayed of, and they were called different things. So this caption here says, "Это Vodnyoi the Russia," or Rossi. So it's stating that this is the Russian portrayal of the Vodnoi. So like I said on the previous slide, the Vodnoi was considered to be the king of the river, but that was very specific to the river that he resided. He was not the king of like all the rivers because there was multiple Vodnoi. They were considered to be superior to mermaids and mermen because they were his children. So he would use them as servants to carry out his dirty work that he didn't want to do himself or just help in his dwelling. They were believed to have a ruler in northern Russia who rode a rotting log down the rivers and would ascend to the sky on a black cloud. So they locals were very weary of going around the water. And while I was researching this, there's multiple beings that were said to live in the water and spirits to live around the water that if you got too close, you'd be pushed in and drowned. So Russia typically is... ancient Russia was very terrified of the water. So in order to keep their kids from facing a fate that could be caused by these spirits, they would tell them to stay away from the water. Thank you so much for watching my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. До свидания.